In the state of South Carolina, are DUI checkpoints really legal? Hi, I'm David Aylor, an attorney here in the Low Country, and I'd like to briefly discuss DUI checkpoints in the state of South Carolina. Most of us that live here in the state of South Carolina are familiar with DUI checkpoints or road stops. These essentially are set up by the different police departments, often working together to bring cars in and check them for things like identification, open warrants, and other potential traffic issues and criminal violations that could be occurring within the motor vehicle. First of all, it's important to understand that DUI checkpoints or roadside checkpoints are actually legal. This comes down from Supreme Court precedents, and you often see them used throughout the United States. However, with these DUI checkpoints, there's several things that have to be followed by from the police agencies that perform them. First of all, there has to be advance notice. Most often you find this in the newspaper or other public publications such as television shows and various other local agencies. Furthermore, the vehicles have to be selected in a neutral formula and a formula that they stick to the entire night. For example, every third car, every fifth car. Under no circumstances can they choose a different method to be able to stop that vehicle specifically and ask for identification and license and paperwork that's related to driving the motor vehicle. When an individual is stopped in a DUI checkpoint under suspicion for a DUI, the first thing they'll often ask the individual is whether or not they've been drinking that night. At that point in time, the individual can choose whether or not they want to answer that question. But make sure you understand that anything could potentially be used against you in that DUI case if in fact you're arrested for driving under the influence. Furthermore, they may ask you to do a field sobriety test. They may ask you to do a number of different tests there on the roadside. If you do these tests, again, they may be able to be used against you in a criminal DUI investigation and prosecution. At the same time, however, if you perform these tests properly, you may be able to go on your way. That decision is individually made by each person, but it is very important to realize that if you do perform those tests, that is being recorded and potentially could be used against you at a later point. Finally, once the tests are complete, you may be put under arrest for DUI, at which point Miranda will be read to you. And again, anything you say could potentially be used against you in a court of law for that DUI prosecution, even if it was outside the scope of what the original criminal investigation and stop was for. These are all important things to consider if you are stopped for a DUI during a DUI checkpoint or suspicion of DUI. For further questions related to criminal issues or traffic violations, as well as civil cases as a whole, you can always reach me at my office at 843-577-5530 or on the web at davidaylor.com.